Alright, it's time for a controversial video. By far, the most requested video on my channel so far has been to go over some of Fortnite's most overrated weapons or items of all time. And you guys just saw I did part 1 and part 2 to Fortnite's most underrated weapons. And now we're going to flip it on its head with some controversial takes and talk about some of Fortnite's most overrated weapons of all time. Of course, overrated is a very subjective term, and what I think is overrated might not be what you think is overrated. So take everything with a grain of salt, but be sure at the end of this video to let me know in the comment sections what I got right, what I got wrong, what weapons you think are overrated. I love to see that. But with all that being said, let's get into some spicy takes and let's get right into this video. So earlier today, I put a post in my YouTube community tab and I just said, what are some of Fortnite's most overrated weapons of all time? And by far, the most commented item, and I would actually agree with this, is the pump shotgun. And let's get into some nuances here, because the pump shotgun is actually very good. I don't think anyone's denying that the pump shotgun is the most consistent shotgun of all time, and it is a top tier weapon in Fortnite history. The pump shotgun has been at the core of Fortnite since the day it released. It has been probably the trophy weapon of this game. It really has been the face of Fortnite, has been the pump shotgun. In box fights, in competitive and casual, you see the pump shotgun everywhere. But I can't help but see that people hold the pump shotgun to such a high regard when, in fact, we have seen other shotguns that, in my opinion, are at the same level or even better than the pump shotgun. And of course, it's all opinionated based, but I know the Havoc pump shotgun is just kind of a reskin, but it is different than the core pump shotgun. I think the Havoc is better than the OG pump, and I also think that you could make an argument for the tac shotgun as well. And look, again, I'm not saying the pump shotgun is a bad weapon by any means. It is one of the best, but I just can't help but think that people hold it to too high of a standard. Again, I know that it is the main weapon in Fortnite, and I know this is going to be a super controversial take, but I can't help but think that the pump shotgun is just a little bit overrated in my eyes. And following up on the pump shotgun, let's talk about the SCAR, but the SCAR specifically from Chapter 3 onwards. This is definitely not the OG SCAR, because that version of the SCAR, Chapter 1, Chapter 2, was an absolute animal, an absolute beast, and that is definitely not overrated. But the more recent versions of the SCAR we have seen, in my opinion, are way too overrated. Let me put it this way. If this gun had a different design, keep the same stats, same bloom, same everything, but just had a different picture and wasn't called the SCAR, I think that this would be one of the worst ARs of all time. All right, maybe that's a little harsh. Not one of the worst of all times, but definitely not a solid AR, and not to the standard that I think a lot of people hold it to. And it really has nothing to do with the damage, right? This is mainly because of the bloom. In this version of the SCAR, the newer version of the SCAR, if you hold down the trigger for probably 5 or 6 shots, and you'll see it in the gameplay I put here, if you hold down the trigger for 5 or 6 shots, your bullets are just going to go all over the place. You really can only tap fire it or shoot it in 2 or 3 bursts if you're going to try and get consistent damage done at any type of medium to long range. I just think that this version of SCAR is not very good at all, and I think that it is very overrated. And next, let's go into a pistol, and let's talk about the Flint-Knock pistol. And I know this is going to upset a lot of people, because a lot of people love the Flint-Knock. It's one of the most fun weapons of all time. It is truly fun to use. But I think more people use it for avoiding fall damage than they do using it as an actual damage dealing weapon. I have definitely heard people tell me that the Flint-Knock is the best pistol of all time, but to be honest with you, I think the Mammoth pistol is just the Flint-Knock but better, you know, minus the fall damage mitigation, right? I just feel like the Flint-Knock as a weapon, as a damage dealing weapon, is not that great unless you're like 2 or 3 feet in front of them. Anything past that, I believe they have no first shot accuracy on the Flint-Knock, so I mean, good luck, right? But unless you're, you know, 5-10 meters away, anything past that, you're really not going to be dealing any big time damage with the Flint-Knock, and most people just use it to save them from fall damage anyways. It's got a long reload time, and I certainly just think that there are pistols out there that just do the job better than the Flint-Knock. This isn't to say the Flint-Knock is bad, I just think that it's a little too overrated. Let's get into one of my favorite weapons of all time. That's going to be the Heavy Sniper particularly the heavy sniper we've seen in recent times, so chapter 4, that type of heavy sniper. The heavy sniper on release was really, really good, and you have to remember that snipers back then were automatically really, really strong, particularly because they had no sniper glare, sniper glint when you scoped, so that just inherently made these snipers easier to use and better. But that heavy sniper on release was one-shotting every type of wall and was doing 150 damage plus. But we've seen with the new heavy sniper, we've seen damage nerfs, we've seen damage to structure nerfs. This thing has gotten nerfed into the ground, and at this point, I don't even consider it to be a top 3 sniper of all time. I would certainly put even the current Reaper sniper and definitely the Hunter bolt action sniper over the heavy sniper. And at this point, let's just be honest, it's just a bolt action sniper that deals, what, 10 more damage with just a longer reload time, right? Like, I think the heavy sniper, you know, it has one good thing going for it, definitely, and that is the bullet velocity. But other than that, I really just don't see the appeal to the current version of the heavy sniper, and I do not think that it is as good as a lot of people say it is. I think a lot of people's minds are kind of clouded by the old version of this weapon, right? So again, I do think it is just a tad bit overrated. Next, let's get into one of the takes that I think is going to upset probably the most people, and that's going to be the hammer AR. I don't know what it is, but there is truly a cult following around this weapon. I really don't understand it. I never grew to like the hammer AR, but I know there are so many people who say that this is one of their favorite ARs and one of the best ARs of all time, and just personally, I cannot get myself to agree with that. Look, I will agree it has a great fire rate and pretty solid damage, but the one thing that really holds me back from liking this weapon is just that horizontal recoil. This thing kicks like crazy to the right and left, and obviously, if you've been playing a shooting game, you know vertical recoil is the easiest to control. If you're on controller, just pull down that right stick, but horizontal is much more difficult. And I've been playing shooting games basically my whole life, but I just could never seem to manage the recoil on this hammer AR. I just kick right, left all the time. It's just kind of hard to use. Now, is this a skill issue? Potentially, maybe. But what I will say is I know for a fact I've seen people in my TikTok comment section, in my comment section here, that will tell me that this is just as good as the Scar or better than the Scar, and I just can't agree with that. I don't think the hammer AR is that great. I think it's okay, but I think we have seen much better ARs, and I don't think that it's as good as a lot of people say it is. And for my final take of this video, I really hate that this item has to catch strays here, but it's gonna be the Boogie Bomb. Now, yes, at its surface, the Boogie Bomb is really good, right? It basically just renders a player useless for, you know, however many seconds, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 seconds, right? But it is contingent on a couple things. One, you have to not only land the Boogie Bomb on them, but make sure that you don't hit yourself with it, of course, because you can hit yourself with it and you'll just end up dancing with them. It's also contingent, basically, that you have a shotgun, right? Because the boogie stops once you do a single bit of damage to them, right? So if you're gonna shoot them, of course, you're gonna shoot them with a shotgun. Everybody knows how you pair a weapon with a boogie bomb, but in order to use a boogie bomb, you really have to have a shotgun with it. You know, and I really think that this has to do with me being a primarily builds player, right? So a lot of times you have a boogie bomb, people will just build. It's really hard to land those boogie bombs. And no build, we're talking about a little different story here. I think the boogie bomb is very strong, but particularly from a build perspective, I do not think the boogie bomb is as good as a lot of people say it is, but it is fun to use, of course, and this is kind of a little bit of a troll pick here, but I don't think the boogie bomb is as good as many people make it out to be. I mean, like, think about it. How many times have you thrown a boogie bomb and one, just totally missed the person and left yourself vulnerable, or two, thrown it to them and then have hit yourself alongside them, right? So, like, I don't know. I feel like this is kind of an interesting pick, but I do feel like it is a tad bit overrated. And that's it, guys. This is my controversial list of weapons in Fortnite history that I feel like are just a tad bit overrated. So let me know in the comment section what you think. Let me know what weapons you think are overrated, and of course let me know if you'd like to see a part 2 to this video, because I absolutely could come back with even more ridiculous takes. But with that all being said, guys, like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.